All right, all right, all right, all right. Good evening, good evening. Was that going to be a problem? Where's Walker at? Okay, let's go ahead and try that. Just realized I had the fan on. Good evening, good evening. Let's see. Bro, where'd he go? He was on here, and I lost Walker from hello. There we go. Hey, perfect, perfect, perfect. How you doing, sir?
I'm great. How are you?
Oh, I am doing great. Let me go ahead and exit out of my stream on my web so I can make sure I'm not hearing double. But hey, I appreciate your time, man. Thank you so much for joining.
Of course, it's nothing. How are you?
Oh, I'm trying to survive and thrive in this crazy market, man. It's I feel like I've been going since probably about 5 o'clock this morning, and
Yeah,
I went to bed
much.
at like 1 last night. So I'm running on fumes, but I'm still like I got a bunch of energy. I don't know what's going on. How about you?
Um, I guess same. I certainly haven't been going since 5 a.m. I've been going since like 10 a.m.
Hey,
Uh,
that's good. That's a normal day for me, I would say.
right.
Is like usually my first 2 hours. I'll wake up at 7 and then I'll like kind of have a nice 2 hours or so to myself to kind of claim my day, and then from there I have a normal day. But this was weird, man. I don't know why I woke up so early.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me adjust my situation here.
Fine.
So what are you doing at 5 in the morning?
I had a presentation, so I was doing. I'm a real estate agent by trade, and I kind of scaled up my business using YouTube. So I thought it was a natural kind of thing to get involved with Solana NFTs and kind of address like I don't want to say a need because there are some really good NFT YouTubers in Solana, but I think there needs to be more of a platform for a lot of people to share like all the cool shit they're doing, right? And you guys, the fact that you slid into my deal, I was like, man, I could not ask for like a better first guest for the stream. So I am thrilled to have you on. I mean, all the shit that you guys are implementing is and the speed that you guys are too. I I think a gift and a curse for me has been I turned on notifications for your tweets.
Oh.
Um, and you guys are going so ham on Twitter, which I
Yeah. Yeah.
love. But I'm like having to like I wish there was an option that I could turn off like when you guys retweet. Nothing against your retweets because most of
Yeah.
them
Yeah.
are great, but I also like I want to see when you tweet so I can see like when a new features have been implemented because then I have to sift through 20 tweets of yours.
Yeah, I
Because of all
actually
the
never thought
retweets.
about that. I'm not like a like I so I run the Twitter account. We'll have somebody else run it, one of these days. But I just like people's stuff and I retweet it. So it's
That
like
I mean, it's great. It's great, dude. I mean, I love all the retweets because you really are. I mean, the speed. I feel like not only that you guys are growing the platform, but you guys are like growing your reach on Twitter and within the community. I think is awesome because I'm starting to see a lot of people turn on to it, and I mentioned it. I want to say like 2 months ago to a
yeah.
bunch of people. You guys were actually in a space I think with remnants, and that's how I found you guys. Where I started hearing, I was like, what do you mean HelloMoon? It's free? And I started checking out some stuff and I was like, man, this is pretty cool. And so I just kind of added you guys to like my normal routine of things to check. And then you guys started implementing all the other sites' features onto yours. And it was more native and it felt more normal and it was more seamless. So you guys just like took over my life. You guys are the first place I visit instead of Magic Eden now, which is that alone right there is a feat.
Much love to Magic Eden, I will say. And but no, well, thank you so much for saying that. I mean, so we've been definitely putting more and more focus on the website, I'd say. And actually we've got some really cool stuff that we're putting out. Uh, I'd say in the morning.
God bless. Didn't you guys just implement? We'll get into it, but didn't you guys just implement where you can save the chart to your wallet?
Oh yeah, but that we've got much better stuff than that coming out. So I guess I can share it. I can share it here, right? So
Yeah.
so we're going to have basically smart money trackers, and so smart money is people who have something like more than $1 million worth of NFTs in their wallet, people who have made more than like $100,000 trading, like all kinds like anything you think of as smart money. That's smart money, and we're going to have like at the top of the NFT page above the leaderboard, we're going to have smart money inflows, smart money outflows. We're going to have top social buying, all kinds of things, so you can see like which projects are getting what activity from who.
Oh my God.
So
I love it, dude.
smart money outflow, we're a little bit hesitant on because we don't. I mean, we know, so our big thing is we never want to FUD, but you know.
I mean, money's money. You gotta track the money, and you guys are just adding to visibility on a whole different scale compared to a lot of people. So I appreciate it. That's not FUD. That's literally just people. You're just putting the information out there that really is technically publicly available. You're just making it a little bit more seamless to track.
Yeah.
So
I guess technically publicly available. Anybody who's got a team of 30 blockchain engineers at their disposal,
exactly.
3/4 of a year to build like a system. It's there for the taking. So anyway,
Dude. Awesome, man. That was the one thing. So I jumped on your spaces that you hosted, which I love that. I really do love like well organized Twitter spaces. Sometimes it turns into a witch hunt, and I think that's like where my sometimes I have to just like tune off some
sure.
spaces, but when they're run right, they're just really productive for just fostering conversation about what's going on in the market, what's going on with a certain project, asking them tough questions, and I think it's really healthy for the space. And you guys hosted a great one. You guys talked a little bit about, stuff that you guys were seeing in the market, anything that was popping off. You took questions from the audience. You made it fun and engaging. And I was shocked when, Joe and I were kind of talking back and forth in Dust We Trust. And we were like, well, how big of a team do you guys have? And then you guys were like, yeah, we have, you said 30?
Something. I mean, we're growing every day. So I think something like somewhere between 25 and 30 today. So
That's awesome, man. So tell me a little bit about how long ago did you guys start on this and how did it start? Where did you guys come from?
yeah. So started the project in. I mean, it depends on how you measure. But actually, hold on. Sorry. Give me, if you don't mind, if I just take a few seconds. Let me just gotta turn my camera off and mute myself. Just 30
Yeah,
seconds.
that's fine. So while Walker is taking care of some business, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about some features um, that him and his team have done really well. 1 minute, let me go ahead and switch it over here. So yeah, if you guys can see,
Okay, sorry about that. I'm back.
no, you're fine, man. Look, I understand. That's the nice thing about stream. It's a gift and a curse that it can be so interactive with people.
Yeah.
But yeah, like if you got to take care of your stuff, don't feel bad about it.
No, we're good. I may have to run across the hall in a second, but I think we'll be good. We'll see. We'll check.
That's okay.
Over here.
That's right. So yeah, so tell me a little bit about like when you guys started, what made you guys start, and kind of the origin story.
Yeah, absolutely. So started in August, September of last year. Uh, Before that, had spent almost 10 years at doing enterprise software, private equity. 2 years of investment banking before that. Was at a really cool shop where I was able to get a lot of exposure kind of very early into my career. So I was able to get directly involved with the management of these businesses, was able to interface directly with a ton of CEOs, kind of understand, what is it that makes a business grow? What is it that, stops a business from growing? And had a great time doing that. But ultimately just, decided that I was sick of talking to CEOs and telling them what to do, and I just wanted to do it myself. And so decided to start HelloMoon.
Right. No, that makes sense. I came from a corporate background myself, so like getting that freeing space to kind of work on what you want is so liberating. So how long have you been working on the project? Like when did it start?
Almost a year now, I guess. So it was, we had our first contractors in September, October, and then in November, December, first full-time people, and we're kind of off to the races after that.
Awesome. Awesome. So you guys, I mean, you guys been working on this for a while, and it feels like you really started ramping up feature implementation over the past, I want to say like 2-3 months when I saw you guys. I mean, like it was a good website, but you guys have just completely overhauled it with like insane features.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. So yeah, I mean, so sorry, not to cut you off, but yeah, so that's exactly what's happened, and this actually not it's not going to slow down; it's going to speed up, which is exciting on my side. But like, the we basically we realized. I mean, actually, what happened is that we just hit the scale where we had enough people on the team to focus on multiple things at once. And so we were able to have people who were focused on only the website and, a full team of people doing that. And, it was just kind of like a no brainer.
yeah, yeah. So who was like your first hire, and when did you guys start seeing like that rapid growth and like employment? Because I feel like it's you get those first two people, and then you kind of like feel out what kind of roles we need, and then you guys just like took off because that's a lot of people in a short amount of time.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, no, it's a good point. So, um, I think it's very hard to change a company's culture once it's been set, and it's very hard to set, like a productive, kind of hardworking, winning culture. And so, what we did is, basically just hired the absolute best engineers we could find right out of the gates. And so the first person who we hired was, one of the top engineers at Microsoft who was designing Microsoft Outlook mobile and Mac. And that just kind of set the tone for the rest of the hires. And, then hired a guy from a guy who was senior at Amazon, and, it's just more of the same.
Oh man, that's awesome. What a first hire, first off. And then from there, are you guys like mostly located in the same area? Do you guys have like a varying different time zones, or tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so no, we're actually fully distributed. So we've got people in Portugal, we've got people in DC, we got people in Los Angeles, California, San Francisco, Oakland, San Jose. I guess that's not that much diversification, but no, we got people all over the U.S. and a few people who are international as well. So all kinds
So
of time zone coverage.
when so did you guys were you guys already connected through like previous ventures, or did you guys just like happen to stumble upon each other?
Um, no, I mean, a lot of the people I'd already known, just mostly professionally, and I just was just almost like a snowball effect, where the more good engineers you get, the more good engineers who want to join, and now all of a sudden we have a ton of really good engineers.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. I mean, first off, congrats on all the growth. I'm really excited for your guys' future because you guys are just like very transparent. You guys want to help the industry and make more informed decisions with a lot of different people. And it's not just NFTs either, right? It's DeFi, which I don't want to say like I'm so far from even being able to be like qualified to talk on that topic.
Right.
I come from a traditional finance background, but when it comes to DeFi protocols and everything and all the coins that are involved, and the tokens and the swap mechanisms, I think my place of interest lies more in NFTs. But the fact that you guys have all of this readily available at everybody's fingertips for free is amazing. I want to jump into the platform, but I kind of wanted to talk to you real quick before we do. Is what's next for you guys as far as monetization? Because having 30 people on staff, you got to pay them somehow, right? I mean, they must have like I'm guessing there's going to be you guys all bought into a vision. You guys all decided like, hey, it may not see revenue, or I guess I'm sure you guys have revenue on the side somewhere that I'm just not seeing.
Yeah.
or it's like the future promise of like, hey, we're just gonna be an industry leader. We're gonna knock it out of the park. We're gonna get our name recognized by a ton of people, and then we're gonna take it from there. What's your approach to this?
Well, I mean, so HelloMoon is a complicated company. So we have more than more business lines, if you will, than just HelloMoon.io. We also have an enterprise business. We're working directly with large protocols, and so that business is generates revenue, and lets us do things like make HelloMoon.io completely free. And so I think our vision for HelloMoon.io, I mean, we will one day monetize it. But we're not going to we're going to try our hardest not to do it in a way that limits accessibility. So we're going to try to avoid subscription, and I think almost definitively, I don't think we'll ever do marketing.
That's
And so that really narrows the scope of possibilities. And so still kind of thinking about what that could look like, but it's something that we don't need to figure out for the next several years.
Yeah, I mean it's really interesting that you guys have recycled profits, recycled business revenue, and basically gave value back to the public. I think that's really cool, and like you guys are already doing so much social good for the system. So props to you guys. Keep doing what you're doing. I think that's amazing. Let's kind of talk a little bit about. Oh, I gotta put screen share on because I want to talk a bit about your platform. So when you first log in, because I've seen your tweets. You're like,
Yeah,
hey, just so you know, yeah, like Cats on Crack is starting to get some massive volume. Like just a
yeah,
heads up, and then like 2 hours later, you're like, I tried to tell you guys.
yeah, yeah.
So I kind of wanted your
Check out Gothic
opinion.
Degens. They're crushing it. We
I
tried to tell
know.
you guys. We tried to tell you guys. Um, Also, I will say shout out to Gothic Degens. They've got some cool ass art. So excited about their
Yeah.
product.
Yeah, where is I haven't even heard of Gothic Degens. I was so busy today, not like um with my IRL job that like I haven't really got to sit down with the market today. So when you first log in, like what's the first thing you do, Walker? Like how would you tell people to use this?
Yeah. So, yes, there we go. I guess they're down a little bit, but not bad. So, the first thing I do is if you click back on the NFT page and go to the leaderboard, the first thing I do is so we have it filtered by default by volume. Obviously, you can filter by any of these categories. I think volume is the best one to look at. I mean,
Mhm.
really, what I do is I look at which projects have the most volume today, and then I look at what's their floor price doing. And so, there are some people, some projects that are there every day. So, OK Bears and DGods have been number 1 and 2 in volume for since OK Bears launched. Before that, DGods was number 1 in volume for months in a row. Catalina Whale Mixer, Cats on Crack, all those projects are consistently up there, but there also are new projects. And so Gothic Degens, for example, today has over 1,000 soul volume. Um, uh, um, Ghost Kid DAO, all these amazing projects. Some of them have been on the front page for a week or two, but certainly not a few months. And so the first thing I do is I look at where is the volume and what are the floor prices doing. And the reason I do that is because when you see volume, that's when you know that people are actually interested. And so when you think about the community of a project and the community being interested, that volume kind of represents community. So right out of the gates is the first thing I look at.
Yeah. I would agree wholeheartedly. I mean, coming from 2017, 2018 crypto trading, that was always the first metric I looked at is like, hey, what has the volume and what do we need to be looking at? It could be some random shitcoin. Whereas with NFTs, you have a little bit more to dive into. Is like, what's the social factors, any sort of project announcements or anything like that. It's great. So when you go, what would be your favorite feature on here, Walker?
Yeah, I mean, I love the social feature, honestly. So if you go over to the left hand ribbon and click social, so I like that. I check the value of the HelloMoon wallet all the time as well. But I mean, I love the social feature, so I love to see what people have been buying. We try to ignore what they've been selling. Except for the other day when Barty stocks, like rage quit
I
and
saw that with Degen Ape, everything the Degeniverse.
Yeah, and DJ and Trash Pandas and a bunch of stuff. So he floored everything all at once. But so I try to focus on, what are people buying. So actually, what I do is I let it scroll down a good amount, and then I do Control F, and then I do buy, and I just look for clumps of people buying things in a row, because it's always interesting. Anytime you find 5 or 6 buys in a row, it's almost always interesting.
Right.
So that's a favorite feature of mine as well.
There we go. That's why I wasn't finding anything. I put buy-in instead of bot. Yeah, that'll do it. Okay. I mean, that's really useful. Do you guys have any plans to like kind of filter this by buys, bought,
Yeah.
or bots sold? I would imagine that would probably be like a pretty upcoming feature for you guys.
Yeah, we're gonna do a lot with the social page over the next week or 2 or 3, and so you'll be able to filter, you'll be able to sort, you'll be able to, right now there's a lot of empty space on the page, so there's not always going to be empty space on the page, I guess is how I put it.
I'm excited for it, man. I mean, the fact that we have a social tracker in general is just it's great, and the fact that we can go to a certain project and check out what's happening on their socials is also great. I would connect my wallet. I'm honestly, I will tell you firsthand, I am terrified to go into my portfolio tab.
Right.
I don't know if I want to. I may go ahead and let me go ahead and exit out, and I'll go to like a burner wallet or something like that, just so we can see. I think I have a few things and something, but like I do want to show people how awesome it is, because it's a great tab, but it just scares the shit out of me right now because, well, we're down 90% from highs on Sol, and yeah, okay, wonderful. Let's go ahead and check this out. So obviously you won't see as much as you would when it comes to like a loaded wallet or anything like that. You definitely get more insight, but you guys basically made it very easy for us to kind of track our net losses, net gains for tax purposes, which has to be like a huge benefit for me. Again, for a lot of it, I'm not going to check towards the end of the year is probably when I'll start thinking about taxes, but is it one of those things that's going to be really tough? And I know you guys talked about it too, where you like, this isn't a priority for you guys because taxes for most people don't come until April. So it's like one of those things that you guys are thinking about doing, but obviously you have other priorities.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're focused on social, we're focused on DeFi, we're focused on NFTs. But I mean, every part of the website is going to get better every week. The portfolio tracker included.
Yeah, it's really interesting stuff. I wish I can load up more stuff for everybody, but I really don't want to kind of dox my entire portfolio live on video. Again, it's not like you can't really see it yourself. You guys have my wallet. If you go on HelloMoon, you can.
I wonder, maybe I could quickly share my screen and show.
Yeah, you should be able to. There should be a ad source at the bottom.
Okay, let's let me just clear my few things to clear first.
No, you're fine. I haven't really explored the DeFi side of things very much, and again, it's one of those things that, like, I love it. I love Radium. I use Radium pretty religiously, but outside of that, like
you should use Jupiter.
I should use Jupiter.
Yeah, so here's some alpha. So shout out to the Jupiter team, shout out to Ben and everybody over there. So what Jupiter does is Jupiter routes your transaction through one protocol, however many protocols it takes to get the most efficient execution. And so if you're trading Sol for USDC, sometimes you're best off doing that through Radium. Sometimes you're best off doing it through Orca. Sometimes you're best off swapping your Sol for something else on Radium and then swapping that thing to USDC on Jupiter and on Orca. And so Jupiter basically manages it for you.
That's amazing.
Almost all of the transactions that I do in DeFi are on Jupiter. Big fan of their team. You also can do arbitrage. It's pretty funny. You can like swap, one USDC for 1.01 USDC sometimes. So
that's amazing, dude. Huge alpha. Thank you so much. That's useful, and I'm sure I'm not the only NFT degen that's just like, we know Radium and that's pretty much it, or one of our favorite dexes. So it would be useful. I think this is one of those times that everything's so down bad right now. You might as well start learning other stuff. And DeFi has been on my list for a while. So Yeah. Are you able to share your screen? Is
Yeah, of
that
course. Yeah, let me do it. So here I'm gonna share right now. We'll try to do this quickly. Don't want
that's
to. I don't
okay.
know what's going to pop up. So yeah.
Awesome. There we
So
go.
this is my portfolio, our portfolio. Um, so you can see um, some. By the way, the ones that are zeros, there are a few that we don't track. Most of these though were given to us by friends. So you can see the purchase price of your NFTs. You can see the P&L. You can see your IRR or annualized return, and then you can see the total estimated value. So, for example, I bought the HelloMoon flag monkey on March 15th. It was during the New York Hacker House. I think I paid about $3,900 for it. I think the floor price of flag monkeys has been steady, maybe gone up, but obviously the price of sold
Soul's
coin.
gone down. Yeah.
And so you can see my current position's worth $2,700. If you annualize that over 12 months instead of just almost exactly 3 months, then I would have lost 75% of my money. And the other thing that's cool, so the multitude is by one of my favorite one of one artists on Solana, Wayne Newton, also known as Nick. Um, and and so we track the purchase price and value and P&L for um, you know the NFTs you buy on Magic Eden, but also for the one of one art that you can buy on Form Function Exchange Art, and all those other marketplaces. Um, you can scroll down and you can see staked NFTs. So here's my DGod number, or dead god really, at 2435. Currently worth $11,000, which I think is FUD. And so you can see, so this is these are the staked NFTs that I have. And then this actually is one of my favorite features. So we also track the value of SPL tokens.
Dude.
So every day my DGod gives me um, dust. I think 15 dust a day.
Yeah.
And so you can see, now I have 182 dust. That's worth $240. But if you check your wallet, so for example, here you can see the same dust, but there's no value, right?
Right.
So what we do at HelloMoon is we give value to the tokens that aren't tracked by the wallets. And again, Dust has a super active marketplace. I'll show you in a second. And you can swap Dust at any time at a predictable price. And same thing for Forge, same thing for Puff, same thing for Meta Drago Ember, same thing for Boku from Boryoku Dragons. And so you can actually see the value of these tokens that your NFTs are emitting, that your wallets don't track or don't value. And actually, just to look at Dust. So for Dust, there's a huge market. And so you can see that there's a lot of activity every day. So $25 million worth of volume. You can see here, here are the Twitter handles that are buying and selling Dust. But again, the wallets don't track it, but you can track it on the HelloMoon portfolio tracker. So that's one of my favorite features. So
The amount of value just in there. I mean, this is literally a one-stop shop. Wait, so forgive me for not knowing this, and I don't know why, but when it comes to getting dust, does it automatically just go into your portfolio or your wallet every single day, or
yeah,
do you have to go
let me
claim
show
it?
you guys. Let's see if this works. I think. Hold on, let me
Yeah,
stop sharing quickly.
you're fine. No, you go ahead. Yeah, please preserve your like any sort of wallet information.
Yeah. By the way, wallet fully doxed. Actually, I'll show you guys something funny in a second. But so you go to stake.deadgods.com. You connect to your wallet. Here's the dust that has accrued since I last swept it, and then you hit claim dust, and then approve, and then now got 0. It'll take a second. There you go. And then you hit refresh here, and instead of having whatever I had before, 182, it'll be 206 or whatever that number is. So
It's amazing. I mean, I like first off, I never understood how Phantom is so big. It is seriously infinitely better. You know, I don't know what your background is as far as
yeah,
ETH NFTs go, but making that transition into Phantom is like life changing from
yep.
MetaMask. So the fact that they don't track like some of these token prices, like Dust is a big token. I'm not sure why they don't have some sort of integration on there, but like it doesn't matter because I go to your guys' website literally the first thing every single day. So
Yeah.
um,
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, we love the wallet companies. Phantom is an absolutely amazing company in every way. I think that they pull their pricing from. I think they pull it from. Uh, I believe they pull it from CoinGecko or something like that. And so, it's very difficult to track the value of these tokens, though. And so that's why at the DNB, that's right, need the dust for appeasement. But so they the wall companies do an amazing job. Phantom's amazing, Soulflare is amazing, but it's super difficult to track the value of tokens. So actually, we think that we have better, more accurate. Well, let's just say we have. I mean, yeah, we think we have better, more accurate pricing data than any Oracle, any CoinGecko, any other API. Um, Unfortunately, the only way we're really showing it is, this portfolio connect. But maybe one day we'll do something more with that.
right, yeah, no, look, any value that you guys provide is honestly pioneering the space right now because nobody else is doing it. So, um, I really do respect you guys for wanting to just add value to the space and not paywalling it because there have been some NFTs. For instance, there was alpha alerts. It was on Solana. You opened up use Solana, but it was behind an NFT. And from my experience, a lot of these tools, they're very fragmented. So it maybe only covered like 5% of your like social tracker, essentially, right?
Yeah,
Like it kind of had a smart money, it kind of had a whales function, but it didn't link Twitter profiles.
yeah,
You couldn't see like you guys have actually started showing interaction between wallets and you're like, hey, this looks like a possible match that it's just like his second wallet, right? So like you guys have a way smarter system, but that was paywalled. Like I had to pay 3 SOL for it, and by the time it was done it was like 1 SOL. Like if you have to not only track it, it's a much more fragmented tool, but you have to track the price of the tool as well, or
yeah,
else like, hey, I lost, I didn't gain that much value from using it, um, because eventually everybody else started cycling into something else, and then you guys
yeah.
came along. You're like, you know what? We're just gonna give it all to you guys. And I've been seeing so many HelloMoon charts pop up. I've been seeing so many HelloMoon social trackers pop up on Twitter. It's really good to see that you guys have just like embraced the fact that you guys are going to be an industry leader when it comes to data and analytics within the Solana space.
Yeah. Well, thanks. I mean, I think for I mean, there are a lot of other great tools out there. I do think that using an NFT as a revenue model for a tool like for any kind of tool is just a very difficult thing to do. Um, so I mean, you just do the math. It's not. It's it's tough.
It is. Well, and it doesn't really expand, and it's one of those things that, I think about it with gaming and everything like that too, is like it's really good for initial capital raise and
Yeah.
everything like that to kind of build out the tool, but eventually you have to like release it to the public to expand your user base, expand your player base. And then you're just devaluing like the original NFT in essence if like the only value of the NFT is to paywall your tool. Well, then people who bought in originally, they get devalued, and you're like, oh, thanks for the initial investment. Now I'm going to release to everybody. Whereas if
Yeah.
you build it out like you guys did, and eventually you're like, hey, we're doing like a HelloMoon like DAO ticket or something like that, where yeah, you might get some access to some excess features, but really we want to build out cool stuff, and we will recycle value back to you guys while keeping it to where it benefits the entire ecosystem. Like I think you guys started out a better way.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I mean, the thing that killed me about doing an NFT that gates access is, we want to retain users. We want people to
Yeah.
stick around. We want people to like it. And we want them to use it a lot. But if you have an NFT where you've gated access to your tool, you have two ways to make money, right? There's mint, and then there's churn. So every time somebody sells, access to your tool, you get 10% of it or whatever. And so just the idea of trying to like induce churn was just weird. I mean, we're trying to figure out like what do people want and how do we keep them around? Not how do we get them to sell their access to somebody else so that we can get a cut of it.
So yeah, that doesn't really fit the ethos of like any sort of platform like that. So let's talk a little bit about that, because it's something that's plagued my mind too. Is like, I think the bear market is really going to churn out ideas of how people can monetize just besides mint and just besides turn or royalties or anything like that. What do you have any ideas to that? Because I think that's a real problem that we're going to see, like a lot of projects fade out because they, one, didn't, manage their treasury right. They didn't stable
Yeah.
out enough. And then two, they're not generating enough because a lot of people are I went through the 17-18 market. I studied the 13-14 crash. I'm sure. How long have you been in crypto, Walker?
It's a crazy story. I don't want to derail your point, but
Yeah, go
but
ahead.
well, so okay, so my first exposure to crypto was back in 2015. I was living in San Francisco, in this building called the Millennium Tower. This was before they knew it was sinking for anybody from San Francisco, and it was me, my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, and a bunch of like, people who were like 50, 60, 70 years old. So like Joe Montana lived there, like Tom Perkins of Kleiner Perkins lived there. But then also this guy who's a few years older than me, who founded a Bitcoin exchange called Coinbase. So Brian Armstrong. And so like we were, probably the youngest people in the building by like 30 years. And so we just talked to each other, and he taught me about Bitcoin, told me about Coinbase, and I just remember thinking like, geez, Brian's such a smart guy. Why does he want to devote his life to helping people buy and sell drugs on the Silk Road? And it turns out he knew exactly what he was doing. But so I've been kind of aware of crypto and thinking heavily about crypto for a long time. But it wasn't until I guess a little over a year ago that I realized that the primary use case of crypto wasn't buying and selling drugs on the Silk Road or speculating on price movements or something like that, both of which are, don't get me wrong, perfectly valid pursuits. But it occurred to me that crypto was much more about a new computing paradigm, a new economic model, and also most importantly that the growth behind crypto was comparable to the internet 1998, 1999, and for good reason. And so that was what really kind of as soon as I learned that, it didn't take me long to learn. But once I learned that, I never looked away. I've never looked at US dollars the same since. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome, dude. Imagine knowing Brian Armstrong in 2015, 2016. That's amazing, dude. What a story. It's
yeah,
quite an entrance into crypto.
actually, it's funny. My first transaction on Coinbase is Brian giving me $1.
Oh my gosh.
Which is currently worth like $500 or $600. Actually, I don't know about currently. A few months ago, it was worth $500-$600.
That's amazing. Hey, you should NFT that. It's put it on your wall or something, like put it on your D frame, dude.
It's funny. I keep trying to like not get banned from Coinbase. So obviously, I don't use Coinbase. I just have I use Soulflare, Phantom, etc. And so I have to like keep the account active so I don't lose that transaction.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's true. Back to the point though, what a story. That's amazing that your first interaction with crypto was, because I was the same way, like in college I'd heard about mining Bitcoin and I was like, yeah, it's just for like Silk Road activities, like,
Yeah.
Sounds cool, I guess. I'm in college, but that sounds really risky to me, and the risk was not at least familiarizing myself. So
Yeah. Sure.
but when it comes to back to the royalties issue, is like, I went through the 17-18 crash. I saw so many people leave the space, and I think NFTs will keep a little bit more people around just because there's community built. It's like part of people's everyday lives now, is like checking Discord, and remnants. I make it on my loot trips, and I'll talk to my like Saber DAO as a sub DAO we have in there. Like it feels a little bit more communal than where crypto was in 2017, 2018, where people were just worried about price. right?
Yeah.
It was all about the price. So when it went down 90%, everybody's like, fucking, I'm out. You know, if you didn't short you, and we didn't have enough tools to short it. So we will see a lot of drawback. And without that, there's not going to be a velocity of NFTs, right? There won't be any velocity to turnover. And therefore, we're going to see a lot of royalties sputter out, especially when we see that Sol's worth 25, 30 bucks if we stay in this range. And there's not going to be like it's not as valuable anymore.
Yeah.
So we need
Yeah.
to address it.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. I mean, actually, I'm going to check. Let me check HelloMoon right now. Usage. The thing is that usage numbers actually have been like really good. So like almost like record number of new users. I'm just checking. Sold volume on for NFTs. Um, I guess like today's like a little bit of a down day, but it's not price is down, volume's not down that bad. And so we'll see. I mean, to your point, there are these sort of vicious cycles that are kind of almost structurally embedded, right? And so if royalties go down, then all of a sudden projects, even if they are incredibly well-meaning, just all of a sudden they're not able to pay their employees. It's they're running a business, and so you do have these structural things. But I'm hopeful. I'd say I'm hopeful that NFTs will weather the storm, but you never know.
Yeah. Yeah. And I really do think, like I said, it's more to it than just the price. And I think that's the real big difference than 2017, 2018. And the fact that Solana feels like it finally has that network effect. Like I can't remember. I saw somebody tweeted a thread. It was beautiful. I mean, drawing the comparisons between, you know, Bitcoin and its infantile phase and like when it reached 11.8 million active wallets and stuff, and then Ethereum reached that point and it just was dramatic growth. And I think Solana's at that point where, man, I mean, look, for all its network outages and issues or apparent issues, it does feel like what I envisioned a blockchain would feel like, right? Or what the next phase of blockchain technology would feel like. So
Yeah.
this is where I plan to stay for the foreseeable future, unless innovation kind of sputters out and we see something else pop up. But this feels like where I plan to be for the next few years. So
Yeah. No, I mean, it's certainly the same way. I mean, the other thing is like, I mean, Solana is just like, that's funny. We had this tweet, like 2 or 3 weeks ago. It was like, Solana is the best blockchain. It was kind of tongue in cheek, but like, I think it's true. Like I think it's the best blockchain. I would bet a good amount of money that it's the fastest growing major chain. Like volume, NFT volume on Solana rivals ETH on many days, certainly number of users. And then just the transaction speed and the cost is basically more than every other chain combined. So I guess theoretically a better chain may one day emerge, but I think Solana is going to be king for a while.
yeah, it just feels like another thing that feels different to it is like, I visit other cryptocurrency, other smart contract platforms, and it just feels like Solana had that natural brain drain where like a lot of smart people are just like, hey, like cool stuff's happening over here. There's a lot of fostering technologies with Solana Labs and like a lot of investors into different protocols. So like Serum, like Radium, like everything in between to set up the DeFi side of things that makes Solana seamless when it comes to trying to do cross chain or swapping or anything like that. And then NFTs came along and it's like, this is amazing. I don't have to pay gas costs to buy anything or like mints. I mean, God bless. If I had to spend 7K in gas fees to mint the other side for Bored Apes, and then like this happened subsequently after, I would feel finished. I feel blessed to
That's a very
have
good
my
question about that.
to say what.
I never thought about that. Like, ETH has gone down by so much that like some people are like hitting the rocks on just transaction fees, let alone purchase price. Can you imagine if for our portfolio tracker we included like gas and it was 20% of your transactions? That'd be crazy.
Oh man, that would be so bad. And I'm sure, like, I don't know about the east side of things. I don't know if there is anything close to HelloMoon as far as the level of depth of data and analytics that you guys have. But yeah, if somebody, it'd probably be bad on them to include the gas tracker and see that you spent more in gas over the past like 6 months than your portfolio is worth currently. Like that would be like a really hard pill to swallow. And I'm sure there's a lot of people we saw. what was it? I'll have to go on Discord and find it. But there was a guy who just recently sold something that he bought for 500 ETH, and just recently sold. Dude, I gotta find where he posted it now. It's insane. And sold it for like zero point 0.9 ETH or something like that. Like that is an absurd loss, and he just ate it like it was nobody's business.
It's so. I mean, those things don't. It doesn't really happen in the natural world that often. Like there aren't
Yeah.
that many investment products that just like go to zero.
Yeah, there it is. Okay, I'm gonna share this just because I think it's. I mean, it is worthwhile to see. Like, if you guys are feeling bad in Solana NFTs, just know this guy bought in at 300 ETH and sold for 6.9. So you're losing a whopping $1 million. I mean, just north of $1 million. That is a hard pill to swallow. So not only do you see like he bought in pretty much at like close to the Pico top of ETH.
Yeah.
And then he also sold for, if you're just talking about in ETH terms, like a 98% loss. So
wait, and he got that blue NFT?
Yeah, yeah. When he got the blue NFT with the little eyes, man, I'm like, what is it? Why? Cryptodes, dude?
There he goes.
Yeah, it's rough. So I feel for a lot of people, but at least relatively speaking, I'd say it feels a lot more optimistic and hopeful over in Solana.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna check on my phone right now, but like looks like Solana is like 29.54. It should be 30 any second now. So it'll come back.
Yeah. And even if we range over here, I do think it's like I've seen enough innovation that keeps getting me excited for like a lot of people are like, dude, it's a bear market and that sucks. But a lot of well-run projects have tethered out or stabled out into USDC.
Yeah.
And they're like, man, we can survive for the next 6 months to a year without any sort of royalty income or anything like that. So it's encouraging to see. I'm really excited for a lot of these projects. But Walker, I guess my next question for you is like, what sectors do you see performing well if we're to range for the next 2 years? Because we saw it back in 2018 where we ranged until 2020 or so.
Yeah. Well, you mean on Solana?
Yeah, just industry NFTs that you think are going to do really well for the future.
By the way, I was noticing, you can see it in the reflection behind me. I've got a thug bird
Yes.
on my wall. So it's funny, you're really not getting like the crypto. I guess sort of like. So I've been investing for a long time. Again, 10 years before HelloMoon, investing in all kinds of software companies. So I'm super bullish on things that have brands. So I'm bullish on DeGods. I'm bullish on Solana Monkey Business. Assuming they sort out their issues. I'm bullish on anything that has a brand, and the reason that I am is because the value of those brands is not moored to or staked to anything other than how people value them, right? So if you have something, and again, I'm not here to bash utility NFTs at all, but if you have something that's tied to the utility created by your utility NFT, then there's a sort of a natural natural friction to enormous upside. But if you have something that's about community, it's about art, it's about access, it's about brand, then there's no limit to what it can be worth, right? And so DeGods, it's not like you buy a DeGod, you get access to some crazy, tool or something like that, although I'm sure they'll do things like that in the future. Instead, it's that you get access to the community and you get the profile picture, and I guess you get dust, which is kind of a utility, but that's what lets DeGods have a $200-300 million market cap. Whereas if you have, so I'm bullish on things that have brands, that have intangible value, that basically let you earn above your cost of capital, which is hard to do, for other things. So.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I'm right there with you, but I think a lot of people have a loose definition of brand. I know you're a smart enough guy. You've been around the space enough to know like brand isn't like something that just happens overnight. Like it's the line between a brand and a fad is so indistinguishable sometimes to a lot of people in the NFT space. And so when you say D God, heck yeah, I'm behind it. First off, Frank and his team just clearly have like a desire to keep building stuff. Like their brand is that they're community focused. They love interacting with the community. They love pushing the envelope and just trying a bunch of. I mean, it's his pinned tweet. You know, we tried some shit. We didn't like it. We experimented with some cool shit. We're doing some more shit. You know, like that's their ethos, and I love that. Um, I do worry somewhat about like brand only things. I'm more bullish on like brand ecosystem, right? Like
Yeah, yeah,
they've
for sure.
they've
Yeah.
created an ecosystem around the brand. Like it's not just like, oh yeah, like um, I don't want to call any projects out particularly. I do worry about OK Bears to some extent, but I still think like we see the volume. There's clearly people interested in it. Still, there's people clearly who aren't offset by the fact that like they haven't put out wristbands yet, which I think is a very minor thing in the grand scheme of things. Like I'm sure they'll come up with some cool stuff, but I feel like they aren't pushing the envelope as much as some of these other projects, these other brand ecosystems, right? Where like you have Catalina Whale Mixer, obviously a big whale guy.
We're really
Um,
good for them too. Yeah.
yeah, I mean I love me some whales just because like I see the brand they're building is Wagme Beach, right? Like we're gonna push out some bubble goose and we're gonna see how that works. And it's like it feels like a brand of entertainment, right? So yeah, I just like people who are trying Web3 for like just seeing what it can do. And I think that's really cool. So
No,
that's brand for me.
yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, so you make a very good point. So to expand, what I should say is I'm bullish on things that are anchored by brand and that
Right.
use that brand to do
Yes.
other things. That use that brand as a platform, right? And so going back to
Yes.
DeFi, it's the basketball team. It's like you just look at the roadmap they put out. They're not. It's not a brand and that's it. It's a brand that they're going to leverage to do things for holders and to it's a platform business. And so that's what I like as an investor. I don't like to be tied to you know a product basically.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think I mean, you hit the nail on the head. That was exactly, we just merged our two opinions and kind of got on the same wavelength right there. So that was definitely a mic drop moment because I agree with that wholeheartedly. I think when you anchor it with the brand, um, you just open up so many more possibilities.
Yeah.
I guess my next question is, when I'm looking at your site, you literally have everything. You guys think of stuff before I could even think to make suggestions with it. And I'll go ahead and share it. But the one thing I thought of today when I was playing around with it in between, like I had to take a nap today because I was so, and I never take naps. I had to take like a 30-minute breather. Just because I've been going a million miles a second lately, trying to build a bunch of different things. But when I go to like, let's say I go to D Gods, right? The one thing I'd love to see just now that we're in like a kind of down bad territory when it comes to USDC value is like
Yep.
mint price. Like what was the USDC value at
Yeah.
mint
Yeah.
price?
We'll add that.
I like it's just like little things like that where I'm like, man, that'd be pretty cool. But I'm like, they're building out so much other cool shit that it's like they're like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, we could probably do that in 5 minutes. I'm like, yeah, I know you can. So
Yeah.
um,
It's a problem that we have is that we love to do like big ambitious things. And sometimes we have to circle back and just get the easy stuff. But it's hard to get it's not as exciting, so to the engineers, but
yeah.
we'll add all that.
No, that's fine. Like it's one of those things that like I was finally proud of myself for thinking of. I'm like, man, I want to come up with like one recommendation for like
Oh,
Walker's
God.
time is like let me
I've got
just
so many. Yeah, I've got so many. There's so many. We don't have to get into them, but there's so many things that we're gonna, where I'm like, we got to do that differently. Actually, while you're speaking of brands, speaking of uh, of how to think about that. So if you go back and go to OK Bears,
yeah.
just quickly, and then you look at then scroll down. You look at just say, for example, you can see the floor price activity and floor price and notable activity. You can see this. So those are Twitter people buying and selling. You can see that they're all buying and selling above the floor.
Right.
And the reason for that is because they're not buying beta, they're not buying the floor, they're buying the brand. And so they want the bearer that's perfect for them. If you go down and look at average price, you'll see average price is always way above floor price. That's because, again, people aren't sweeping the floor because it's not about exposure to the project, it's about the brand. So
That's one thing that was you had mentioned that on your space. And like, I always thought about it, but now that like you make it easy to kind of identify that is it was one thing I picked up with Bubble Goose. Like if you look at what's happened with Bubble Goose is like there's a lot of stuff on the floor, but the floor is thin, and then you jump up to like what people are really considering like a flashy trait. Like if we
yeah,
go to Twitter and we look at people's profile pictures and stuff, it's usually not the commons. It's usually
yeah,
like they got the purple fuzzy coat on with the diamonds out, the ball out coat trait. They got like I got a goose named Slickback just because I love I don't know if you ever watched Boondocks, but if you haven't, like it is hilarious. There's a character in there from Carl Jones, name a pimp named Slickback, and that was like my brother and I's funniest character ever in any show. Is played by Cat Williams, and I was like, dude, I have to get this. So there's like nostalgia value, but it was the first time since OK Bears that I felt like people were actually buying above floor. Like people were picking out something that it didn't even matter about rarity. It was like a certain trait that they resonated with or something like that. And I felt like OK Bears, it captured that perfectly. And that's the one thing that I'm like, yeah, OK Bears did something right here. I'm glad that people are picking up on that. So
no, it's true. By the way, I got to drop in probably 2 minutes.
that's
Just
fine.
heads
So
up.
that's perfect. So we'll lead out with this, Walker, because I really appreciate your time. Seriously, it is greatly appreciated, and
Absolutely.
yeah, you're leading such a innovative project that we desperately need here in the Solana space. So, I guess my next question for you would be like, if you wanted anybody to know about what your guys' goals are for the next year, for the next 5 years, what would it be?
It's about transparency. It's a you have people who are investing their entire life savings in to Solana NFTs. You have people who are dabbling in it, and you all on one side of the platform, and on the other side of the platform, you have people some people who are building an amazing product and driving financial returns for those people. You also have people who are taking advantage, and so we want to be a source of transparency to allow the space to grow well beyond where it is today, because it's hard to lean in if in the face of uncertainty. And so we want to eliminate that uncertainty. We want to make it so that you know what you're buying and you're happy about it, and you can track how it changes over time, and you can lean in in a much bigger way than otherwise would be possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I am. That's such an incredibly important ethos that I think a lot of people will resonate with, and you're going to gain a massive following for your business because of that. So I appreciate you guys. You guys are very articulate. Everybody I've talked to within HelloMoon outside of you is awesome. So getting on spaces with you, I encourage you guys to continue absolutely ripping through some Twitter, and just keep implementing, because we love it. We love seeing just like the little nuances you guys do, and I'm so excited for all these upcoming features that you guys have coming.
Thanks, man. Well, great talking to you. And we should do another one of these soon.
Yeah. Let's do like
Yeah,
a 3-month, 6-month update or something like that, like in the future. I want to see what you guys have changed since we first talked. But first off, thank you for being my first official guest on live stream. I've talked to some people over video, but you're my first stream guest. So seriously, thank you so much for being, able to come up and sharing your time.
of course. We'll talk soon.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Sounds like a plan, man. Have a good night.
You too. Bye.
All right, guys. Well, seriously, thank you so much to Walker for all his time. That was incredible. Walker is clearly a very knowledgeable guy. Clearly has love for the space, not just NFTs, but Solana in general, with DeFi protocols. I hope you guys picked up Jupiter like I have. I should be better about this, swapping what I have, but thank you guys for your time too. I know we didn't have like a huge turnout tonight. As I get better with interviewing though, and just kind of asking more pointed questions and whatnot, like this will be more entertaining. This will be more insightful from my end. But Walker held it down, man. What an insightful guy. What a guy who has a lot of experience and clearly cares about this ecosystem, and what a team behind him too. I they have like the most stacked resume I've seen in the space. So thank you guys so much for coming out. I will see you guys next time. And until then, go ahead and stay safe out there. It's quite tragic out there. So I'll see you on the next stream. Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern time. We will be having Shake from Cyber Samurai. Super stoked to have my guy Shake up here. Talking a little bit about Gen 2. We will have a giveaway for Remnants, and he will be in some other communities as well. But for Remnants, especially a little alpha for you. Slake should be dropping it. I don't know if he did or not yet, but we'll be having a question. So we'll be asking questions to Shake from you guys. And the best question will get a free Gen 1 Cyber Samurai to be used at the Tensei ceremony, which a little hint, it's supposed to be by spring, and the last day of spring is Monday. So Mother Liquor has like very little time. He has less than a week left. So I know most of the traits are done. Super excited for it. And Shake is just, he's the homie. He's very knowledgeable about stuff. So looking forward to that one. Thank you guys as always for tuning in. We'll see you on the next one.